What are you planting?
Corn. Happy corn.
M, do you know the culture and trade of corn?
No. Can you tell me more about it?
Of course, let me show you something.
In this video, we are going to talk about corn. And this video is divided into introduction, deep culture and trade. Obviously, we will focus on culture and trade in the introduction part. Generally, there are 3 types of corn, which are dent corn, flint corn and sweet corn.
How many types of corn production method do we have?
Conventional agriculture,
conservation agriculture,
stubble mulching.
Let's see what's in a corn. Corn is a good source of pantothenic acid, phosphorus, vitamin B3, dietary fiber, manganese, and vitamin B6. Different types of corn contain different types of antioxidant phytonutrient. For example, yellow corn is richer in lutein and zeaxanthin, while blue corn has unique concentrations of anthocyanins. Purple corn also provides protoxyteic acid. Ferulic acid, a phenolic flavonoid antioxidant, found in corn, plays vital role in preventing cancers, aging, and inflammation in humans.
Overall, corn provides several health benefits, such as antioxidant benefits, blood pressure benefits, digestive benefits, blood sugar benefits, and minerals.
For the deep culture,
the topic we will investigate today is corn. Let us discover the background of corn first. Scientists believe people living in central Mexico discovered corn at least 7,000 years ago. It is developed from a wild grass teosinte. Teosinte looked totally different from the maize nowadays. The kernels were smaller and were not placed close together. After thousands of years, Mexico maize spread north into the southwestern United States and south down to Peru. And finally, Columbus discovered America as well as corn. As we have mentioned, before Columbus, maize was mainly stayed in Mexico. Thus, Mexico and Indian contained lots of myths about corn. One of the most famous one is Chicancoatl, as known as Sentiatl. Sentiatl is also called Xilanan, meaning young maize ear doll. It is an Aztec goddess of sustenance and corn. The number 7 in her name is associated with luck and generative power. She is depicted in Aztec documents with her body and face painted red. Usually, she is holding a double ear of corn in each hand. Another goddess of corn is Celu. Let us invite Dr. Corn to tell us who she is. Dr. Corn, please.
Thank you. I am Dr. Corn and I will present to you the story of Celu and what is green corn dance. Celu is the Cherokee name for the corn mother. Celu is the goddess of the harvest, but also wisdom, magic, hunting and various other domains. It is also funny that the Native Americans of the Southeast will hold a green corn dance to celebrate the new year. The ceremony is supposed to thank the spirits for the harvest. It takes place in July or August. None of the new corn can be eaten before the ceremony, which involves rituals of purification and forgiveness and a variety of dances. Finally, the new corn can be offered to a ceremonial fire, and a great feast follows.
Thank you, Dr. Corn. Besides, Mexican cuisine includes more than 600 corn dishes as well. In fact, the culture of corn is numerous. We have just mentioned few parts of it. Thank you for watching. My name is Rex. See you next time.
let's talk about trade. Farmers in rural areas still perform harvesting rituals to evoke the benevolent spirits of corn gods. The use of corn in many Mexican dishes and the traditional methods that rural farmers still use both show the importance of corn in Mexican culture. However, in the past few decades, Mexico has to import corn from the United States and Canada due to a growing population and demand. Consequently, domestic corn production has suffered since the implementation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, and Mexico continues to import growing amounts of corn from the U.S. The North American Free Trade Agreement had a profound impact on corn trade between the United States and Mexico. Negotiated tariff reductions. The Mexican government's decision not to charge some tariffs and the U.S. government subsidies resulted in a doubling of U.S. corn exports to Mexico. It removed trade protection, pushed prices farther down to 48%. They have experienced stagnant growth, lack of competitiveness in the international market, and an increase in poverty in rural areas. It even gave rise to illegal immigration. Some Mexican farmers headed north across the U.S. border in order to look for better pay. With this increase in corn importation, controversy has arisen due to the amount of transgenic corn that has crossed the border from the U.S. into the cornfields of Mexico.
Transgenic corn is a threat to native Mexican brands and a threat to Mexican culture.
There are obvious economical advantages, but it affects the biodiversity and cultural value of corn. Mexican government can take measures to protect the biodiversity of corn and domestic corn production. The Mexican government can do this by subsidizing domestic corn, and by investing in the traditional cultivation of corn by rural farmers. It helps to reduce the amount of corn imported from the United States and thus preserve the cultural value of corn in Mexico. In the next part of video, we will focus on how other usage of corn and GM are related to culture and trade. Corn is being processed and traded in many forms. Corn refiners use corn to produce a broad array of food, industrial, and feed products for the world market.
Corn oil, which is high in mono and polyunsaturated fats, is a top choice for reducing saturated fat and trans fat in numerous food products.
Cornstarch is the mainstay of the corn refining industry. Over 90% of the starch Americans use is produced from corn.
Corn sweeteners supply more than 56% of the U.S. nutritive sweetener market. High fructose corn syrup, HFCS, is further processed to increase its sweetness. Ethanol is another major refined corn product. It has become an increasingly important source of fuel for internal combustion engines. About 15 to 20% of grain corn in the U.S. is exported. Japan is the leading importer of U.S. corn, followed by Mexico. For GM corn, it can also be considered as trade since it is genetically engineered to express agriculturally desirable traits. GM corn has advantages and disadvantages. For the advantages, increase the productivity while reducing usage of pesticide. Increase the nutrition value, such as vitamin and minerals. Improve the stress tolerance. And GM corn is resistant to herbicides. For the disadvantages, there is not enough information to show that GM corn is safe for human or not. It would cause ecological damage. It also reduces the species diversity. Last but not least, since herbicide is efficient in removing weeds, it would contribute to overuse of it.
Both things. So now I go to study the culture and trade of corn first. Bye-bye, boss.
Wait! You better finish your job first, because corn is my money. Ha ha ha! Bye bye.